Hey, welcome everybody to Spirituality Adventures. We're glad you're tuning into this episode. We are a viewer and listener supported podcast, so we really appreciate you listening, watching on YouTube. We really encourage you to subscribe to whatever platform you're using. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, or if you're on Apple or however you listen to a podcast, be sure and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Also, make comments if you like it and share it if you like it. We really need people to make comments and share the episodes that you like. And then also, if you're not already a supporter, we really would encourage you to go to spiritualityadventures.com and you can pick a tier, and we have bonus content for every type of giver. This is a nonprofit, so they're tax-deductible donations, but we do provide bonus content for those who are supporters. So be a part of the team, help support Spirituality Adventures, and we're so glad you're tuning into this episode. Right. All right, welcome everybody to Spirituality Adventures. I'm excited to introduce you to Ezgi. Help me out.
Karakus.
Mm-hmm. Karakus. And Ezgi's from Turkey. She actually grew up about 40 minutes from Ephesus. For those of you who know about the Apostle Paul and his journeys to, of course, he grew up in Tarsus and then traveled all around Turkey as well. So anyway, she is a cellist player. And she came to America to study at Marshall University, got her master's, and then came to UMKC and did her doctoral work at UMKC, and has now been living in Kansas City. I met Ezgi through Calvin Arsenia, and Calvin and I have been friends about 3 years. And so that's how I ended up meeting Ezgi. Briefly, and I've seen you play many, many times, but I've introduced myself to you in person once.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, and I'm so happy to be here.
You bet. Thank you so much for doing this. I was looking over your website, and I mean it's amazing. You have played with the Topeka Symphony, the Tulsa Symphony, Kansas City Symphony, Springfield Symphony. You've even met Yo-Yo Ma and played with him, right, in his master's class. Mm-hmm. And wow, what an amazing career. And you played last year at Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
And so, and those of you who I've plugged Greenwood Social Hall many, many times, Ezgi, and you can, if you check out Ezgi's Instagram, then you can find out where she's going to be playing, because she's regularly playing at places around Kansas City. So almost every week, probably, right? You're probably playing somewhere every week. I just kind of want to encourage people to check you out on Instagram and show up live. You'll be blessed and amazed. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's start. I always like to get a little bit of your origin story. Where did you grow up, and what was your family environment like? Growing up, and when did your musical interest develop? And I also love that spirituality for me is about connecting with self and with others and with something greater. However you might define that, trying to define it super specifically. But did you have any kind of spiritual influences in your growing up years? Give us a little flavor of your growing up in Turkey and what that was like.
Okay. I'm going to start how I started music, because that was that was early enough for me to remember. That was the earliest thing probably I remember, because I started music when I was, 11. So when I was little, like 8 or 9 years old, my parents got me this toy keyboard, and apparently, like, I didn't leave that keyboard. I was like, trying to make sounds and like see, like commercials on the TV and try to like accompany them or something. Like I was always playing with that keyboard, and my parents finally like they realized that okay, like she might be like really into music. Like let's try something. And by that time I was 9 years old. We had a little in the neighborhood, like kind of music school, but it was only like guitar course. And it was kind of like a gallery space kind of thing. And they were giving guitar lessons. So they signed me up for guitar. I was 9 years old. Every day I was crying because my pinkies were not reaching the chords. And like, it was just super difficult for me. And apparently I wasn't happy with it. It was bad. And then they were like, okay, guitar is not the instrument for her, I guess. So then they signed me up for different school for piano. And then I was, at that time, I was also like learning how to read music, because that was kind of like the first thing I have done, about music. Starting point. And then, I started, but I think I was like looking at my hands a lot when I was, try to memorize things, but not read the music. But anyway, it was kind of going actually well. But then that music school closed. And then my parents were like, oh, what are we going to do? And back in time, every week, my parents were taking me to live music concerts just to kind of see like what am I gonna be getting like it, what am I gonna like, because it was kind of like a trying process. They were trying for me to see like which thing I will be really into. So they were taking me every week live music concerts. This was like include like classical music, different ensembles, string quartet concerts, and Izmir, Turkey is so close to Europe, so we get a lot of European artists come and play in Turkey. So one day they took me to Bremen string quartet concert. They came from Germany, Bremen, Germany, and first time I saw the cello. So I was, I think, 10 years old, maybe 11 years old. Like, first time I think like, I was just like, this is it. So they came on stage and they started playing. I still remember the cellist, like, he has like a fuzzy hair, very like sweet, always smiling, this guy. And he started playing. It was so expressive. And I told my parents, I was like, that's it. I want to play that. And my parents were like, what? Because none of my family are musicians. So
fascinating.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, we have a lot of search to do, my parents. So then they had to search because it was really difficult to get just a cello lesson, because you were always seeing like piano lessons, guitar lessons, like, on the signs and stuff. So like they had no idea, like, how am I going to get, cello lessons? And then they searched that there were conservatory auditions were happening actually for my age. So you start really like when you're in middle school, basically. You audition for getting into a music school.
So it's not like in America where you're in a high school band group. It's
definitely not.
Yeah, this is
I had to prepare for a year for that audition. So it's like a kind of like a year training, I will say. But this audition process is divided by 3 sections. So you have ear audition. If you pass that, there's rhythm. If you pass that, they call it like physic. Like you basically, like after you pass your ear and your rhythm, which you are good, your hearing is good, they put you in a concert hall with your name and age, and all teachers come and check your hands, check
Interesting.
your like lips, like they ask you if you are right-handed, left-handed, and just kind of try to see which instrument you will be good at.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a scientific approach to
Yeah, it is
figuring
very,
out a
yeah.
person's skill.
And, it's hard to pass that exam.
Yeah. Huh.
Like, I mean, hundreds of students, I mean, thousands of students, like, try that. And then, they kind of like choose the ones I think that, they think that they will have future, because conservatory, like, you don't enter conservatory that you want to do this as a hobby. Kind of that mentality, you know what I mean? In Turkey, that's how my experience was.
Yeah.
So I passed these both rhythm and ear exam audition, and then I was in the concert hall and all these like teachers. It took me a year to prepare that exam. So I was already 12 years old. I was actually late to start a string instrument. I was like 1 year late.
Okay.
They were kind of starting 11 years old, beginning of like middle school, I guess. So teachers were coming, checking my hands and stuff. And I every teacher comes to me, I'm like, I want to play cello. I was like so committed, I want to play cello. I want the cello. And then all the teachers were like, oh my God, she's crazy. Like she doesn't want even us to look at her. Like, other teachers, like pianists and like, other instruments, they were like, she wants to play cello. She's like refuses for me to look at her. So they go to the cello teacher because, it takes a while, like everyone, lots of students there in the concert hall. And then they went to the, I think, cello professor. They were like, there's this girl, she's crazy about cello. You should go look at her, And then he came and he like checked, my hands and asked me questions. I was like, I want to play the cello.
Wow.
I don't care, And then they actually, he was like, okay, well, you are into my studio. Here we go. And that's how I started. I started my cello studies when I was, 11 at a conservatory. So I was going 2 different schools that time, but, conservatory is in the college. So like I started going to this college half a day starting when I was 12.
Wow.
And I had to pass like 2 years in 1 year because I was 1 year, late from them. So like it was for me very intense, like year. But I really wanted so bad. So I just did it all, I was recording everything with a cassette, like you remember the cassette players that you can record?
Yes.
Like every class, I was recording that and listening to it at night. So then I can pass. Like it was just, yeah.
Wow. And so was this you were in this conservatory all the way until you came to America?
Yeah.
Just like did you do a bachelor's?
Yeah.
In Turkey in this conservatory?
Yes.
Basically? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went from there to West Virginia.
Marshall, I know. With no English.
Before we get to West Virginia, tell me a little bit more about your family. Like, did you have siblings, and did you have any kind of faith or spiritual component to your family background?
So I'm an only child.
Okay.
I grew up. I always like say this. I grew up on the beach, So Izmir is in the west coast, is right across to Greece, actually. So like in some of the actually beach areas, you can actually look at the Greek islands.
Wow.
And from where I'm from, you can travel to one of the island for like with the boat in an hour. you are there. So it's, for me, it was just growing up on the water was just definitely a thing. Like it was the, I think, biggest thing in my life that I really enjoyed, being on the beach and like playing with my friends. I grew up outside. You know what I'm like, street.
Yeah.
That's what all generations talk about it. But I think I'm one of them. Like in Turkey, after school, everyone is on the street playing games, like it was not like, are we going to someone's house? No, like we were on the street, we have a ball, like we play, it was just, I feel lucky to actually grow up like that. And in Turkey, we have, not everyone, most of people, we live in the city during winter in an apartment. And then when school is off, like, school is done in the summer, we move to a summer house. And we live there for 4 months, till like, I don't know, from June till like end of September, because the school year starts in end of September, October. So I basically grew up in that, there are like little, like, is that called like villages, like small areas that, everyone has like summer houses and their kid. Like I basically knew these people from when I was 3. So we were on the street playing games, and water, was a big thing. And one of my friends was, she is still like, she's a professional swimmer. So we did a lot of things on the water. We had the a surfboard. They were also doing like surfing, and I tried many times. That's my other thing that I always wanted to learn, and I have lots of surfer friends. That's kind of one of my thing that if I wasn't a musician, I'll probably be a surfer. But I never had time, so that's how I grew up. And my family, if we are talking about like, spiritual like beliefs or like religion.
Yeah. If there's any faith back, did you have a Muslim or a Christian or
I
nothing?
did not grow up with, no one told me actually like, you are this, right? Which is, I feel very lucky about. So I grew up, my parents reading all the religious books, and I never knew myself that I practice religion, neither my family. So because of that, I mean, now when I see sometimes people, it's not their decision yet, but they are, they're like, I mean, kids, like when I talk about with friends here, they grew up in a certain way and then they don't believe it anymore, right? I'm like, how this works? I always had a hard time to understand, but I did not grow up like that. But in Turkey, when you say like you are from Turkey, anyone thinks that you are Muslim because it's Muslim dominating country. But actually, I did not grow up like that. But no one can actually guess that. Yeah. I mean, I never practiced religion. For me, I think I just respect anyone who believes in something and feels good about it. That's kind of me. But yeah, it's interesting because, like it's a Muslim dominating country. I mean, populations,
Right.
It's Muslim. But I didn't have that experience. But, like religion becomes tradition. Of course, when there was like a AIDS, you go to your grandma's house, kiss her hand and sit together. But, we were always doing that. And probably if I go back to Turkey now, I will still do that. Go to a family member older than me and sit together and eat together. It's like Thanksgiving, I celebrate Thanksgiving here, but not because of my religious choices, but just because it's a tradition now.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I grew up.
Yeah. So just, I think I said this, we did a bonus content talk earlier, but I mentioned to the audience there and this audience that where you grew up, which is really a coastal town.
Yes.
Western Turkey, which is about 40 minutes from Ephesus, which is, so the Apostle Paul for a lot of my listeners are from Christian backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul, this is the country that the Apostle Paul is from. And then when he did his journeys from, Antioch and Jerusalem, he went to Ephesus and then across the Greek.
Yeah.
So you're literally grew up 40 minutes from Ephesus. When you went to your beach in the summer, you were on the beautiful beaches and you could literally look across the sea and see some of the Greek Isles stuff or the cliffs, right? You're saying, yeah.
Some of the Greek islands, you see it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like, you see that like, that's a Greek island, it was always like that. And Ephesus, I actually performed in Ephesus.
Oh, sweet.
The antique city there. And there is this one section is a library. And they do lots of events there. And I actually performed there. That was really beautiful.
Oh, wow. How beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I recommend everyone to go. You will have a
definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
To travel.
And there's this little town right near. It's called Şirince, and they call it it's like a wine village, and beautiful, beautiful cabins, like little boutique hotels there, and people actually spend if they go to Ephesus. Tourists, it's very touristic. Like we get a lot of tourists all year around, and they actually go stay there. This little village is so cute and beautiful. It's like a wine. They make homemade, wine there too. So it's beautiful.
Amazing. So you grow up in this beautiful coastal city in Western Turkey, and then you finish your bachelor's and move to West Virginia of all places. So
I know.
Tell us about landing in America and West Virginia. City from West Virginia to Kansas City. How was?
I know. So, okay.
Give us a little feel for your West Virginia experience, and then bring us to Kansas City.
Okay.
And then I want to talk about some of your music and some of the projects that you're working on. And
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I finished my college, my first trip to United States was very long. Like it took me 38 hours and I did not have any English. So that was really tough because my flight got canceled. I had no idea what was going on. It was kind of crazy. I don't want to get into that. It's a long story. And then I arrived to West Virginia and then I realized that my cello is broken.
Oh no.
And I couldn't even speak. So it was really crazy experience for me. I wanted to go back to Turkey right away. My dad had to call the cello professor because I was crying and I was telling him buy me a return ticket. I'm done. That was kind of my
you barely landed and you were already
yeah. Yeah, I was like, I can't do this. My cello is broken. I cannot speak with anyone. It was very difficult, but I'm glad I stayed. That was my first experience coming to United States, and then everything worked out pretty well. But I think the most challenging thing was I didn't have a cello for a year and a half. It was hard to find another cello. They gave me one cello from school. It was really not a good one. I couldn't really, practice with that. And it was it was tough, but learning English, I have so many stories, funny stories. But anyway, so that's how I ended up in West Virginia, Marshall University. And when I was there, I traveled a lot because I love traveling. So I did like road trip from east to west over 40 hours with all my 5 other international friends, international students that I was hanging out with them. We just decided one day, let's do it, in a Christmas break. And, I have seen more different states, places in the States just because I wanted to get to know, other than just being in one place, just get to know like how this country, like what are the other places in this country that so I traveled a lot. And I think learning English, like I didn't know English. I had to I was really shy, to even like speak, but I had to break that to be able to survive and learn. I mean, actually keep going. So I had to do that. So I joined a gypsy rock band in West Virginia. Like I didn't even have English yet. And I mean, I don't know what am I doing. I'm classically trained. I didn't even know what to do, but that was I wanted to start collaborating with lots of different people. So that was another experience that actually really helped me. These people, I still talk to them. They are my friends. They helped me a lot for my English, everything. So,
what kind of band was it? It was a band of.
Yeah, it's a gypsy rock band. It's called Quiet.
Gypsy rock band called what?
Quiet.
Quiet, like
It's Quiet.
Quiet. Quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and they still, I mean, people, that band performed with West Virginia Symphony, like they are known in that area, and we were always like driving, doing like road trip and playing somewhere, like hippie houses. Oh my God, like in the forest, middle of nowhere. I mean, it was crazy, but it was a great experience for me. I met lots of people and I kind of like get over my, being shy. Like I was like, it's okay to have broken English, but I'm trying. At least I'm trying. So I had to kind of get over that little bit. And I'm glad I did. They helped me a lot as well. So it was really fun time actually being there,
Nothing like a gypsy rock band from West Virginia to introduce you to America and help you learn.
I know. It was awesome. Like I was just like, wow, I think I did it right. And I mean, I was very also like, I was always, I think, good student, like, because, cello, I mean, I'm studying what I love. So like, I was always, practicing a lot, try auditions, of course, competitions and stuff. So it was really good experience for me. Also like traveling when I was there was really good just to see a little bit the country. Anyway, I finished my master's there. And then my parents thought that I will go back to Turkey, but I was not done. Like I wanted to do more because, I kind of considered that time for my, like, I was, I felt like a baby. You know what I mean? I didn't even know how to order food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to learn everything from scratch, like everything. You gotta kind of like build everything by yourself, even though I was 20 years old, 21 years old, So I felt like that was the beginning. And I kind of like, I passed that and I wasn't ready to go back after that. I was like, I think I need to do something more, That's how I felt after that. So I decided to audition for doctorate studies. And I applied for 10 schools.
Wow.
Yeah, but I could not audition for all of them,
Okay.
Just because financially it was going to be really expensive. like traveling with your cello, get a hotel room, hire a pianist, everything. Like just for one audition was going to be super expensive, and I applied already 10.
Mm.
I got invited to Louisiana State,
Mhm.
LSU. Um, I auditioned at Rutgers, CCM, like everything, but I had 2 months to get a letter from a school about the scholarship, and I had to go back to Turkey, apply a new student visa, come back, drive a U-Haul truck to wherever I will be going for my doctorate. So I had 2 months to do all those things. So, and when I came to actually audition for Kansas City UMKC for a day, and the cello teacher at that time actually like gave me he told me that you don't have to travel with your cello, so I can give you one here and you can play with that. So that was really helpful for my, expenses. So I did that, and then I went back to West Virginia, and I'm like basically moving out, like I'm selling stuff. I sold stuff like in the flea markets. I did garage sale, like I did everything you can ever imagine to just like sell stuff just to make sure that I have a little bit stuff that I can put in the storage, go back to Turkey, apply a student visa. So the first letter I got for the scholarship, and I really like Kansas City actually when I came here, I was for a day because I was like, wow, actually this is pretty cool. And I read more about it and I really liked it. And I was kind of like, okay, let's see what happens, the audition process. So I'm waiting from lots of school. And actually UMKC was the first school send me a letter with the full scholarship. And I had to like sign it, mail it back, go back to Turkey. I have only 2 months to do everything, apply for a new student visa, come back to West Virginia, get my stuff, rent a U-Haul, drive to Kansas City 14 hours, and find a place to live. And that's how I ended up in Kansas City.
Wow. What year was it?
2013.
13. Okay.
So I moved to United States 2009, end of 2009, August 2009. With no English, I had to do English courses. And I started my master's 2011.
Yeah. One of my really close friends, in fact, it's the friend that introduced me to Calvin, is a guy named Tim Place. And he did his PhD at UMKC, but he would have been there before you got there.
Maybe.
Yeah. But, yeah. Well, I'm so glad you landed in Kansas City.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So, let's talk. You graduated with your doctorate in what year? 2015, 16, 18. Okay. 2018. And, give us what are like some of your highlights of your, since you graduated with your doctorate, what are a couple of the highlights of your musical career that you're most proud of, let's say, just in the last 10 years, maybe?
I definitely
That's
will
a big
say
one. So I was just,
Yo-Yo.
yeah, say that. Tell us
Playing for
about that one.
Yo-Yo.
Where was that at? Was that at
At
Kaufman?
the Kaufman.
And he came here to Kansas?
Yes, so he was going to have a concert with Casey Symphony, and he wanted to do a master class, and they wanted to choose. So I think they wanted only 2 students, and they wanted to share with KU and UMKC, right? Like one from KU, one student from UMKC. And yeah, I was one of them, and I feel so lucky about it. And
I hear he's just a genuinely beautiful human being.
Amazing.
Oh.
I think that was eye-opening experience for me, I think, playing for them. And the way, you know, the way everything happened was just so beautiful. It was in front of a lot of people. And then I was working at Harmony Project that time. He came to my work. I was, work with my students. Like, it was just so beautiful to see someone that known and amazing, and also very humble and very open. That was a beautiful experience playing in front of him. And with a lot of audience, of course.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was just in Telluride, Colorado, just over Memorial Weekend, just a few weeks ago. And it's a documentary film festival. It's one of the oldest film festivals in Kansas City. And it's primarily focused on environmentalism and outdoor adventure, as well as social justice issues. But there was a drag queen at Mountain Film named Patty Gonya, and she had done a music video with Yo-Yo Ma on a glacier that is melting, and it was an environmental climate type video. And we got to see the premiere of this video at Mountain Film.
That's amazing.
And it was so cool. Well, I'm not sure if it was the premiere, but anyway, they showed it. Patty was there, and then they showed this beautiful piece with Yo-Yo Ma out there.
Yeah.
On a glacier, that's
amazing. I mean, that's what he has been doing, travel the world and play all these like places that you don't expect.
It was so cool. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so beautiful. I mean, what he's doing is so beautiful. That's kind of, I think, like, became kind of my goal to do, like travel, connect with people, learn their music, learn their culture, but also share your music and be together. Like, that's how I look at it now.
So I've been listening to your album that came out in 2023 called Warmest Wave.
Yes.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, before we were this podcast, that I've been training with Tara Brock and Jack Cornfield in mindfulness meditation, which has been really helpful for me, because I had gone through a lot of trauma and different things like that. And it's been something for my own health, but then that's awesome. I'm a teacher at heart. So I start learning and diving in deep and then trying to share things with other people. So I have loved your album as an accompaniment to some of my private meditation times, and just so beautiful. I want to give us a background of this album. It's called Warmest Waves. Came out in 2023. There's 6 pieces on there, 6 musical pieces. All of them very contemplative, very meditative. And I noticed so it was interesting to me too, because you said you grew up, you love the ocean, right? And there's so many audio, like the audio of waves or a regular feature through. I'm curious. Tell me a little bit about how you put all that together, and where did all those sounds come from? Did you actually sample sounds, or did you go and record them live? That's always interesting to me how you.
Okay. So when I was in Bolivia, 2022, that trip that I went to, and I was in Salar de Uyuni, and I have seen beautiful, very spiritual things in Bolivia. And, Bolivia is one of the actually poorest country in South America, but the happiest. Okay. So when I experienced that, I was just like, wow, like there are so many worlds out there, and how thankful people, for like little things you can be so thankful for, but we forget about everything. Like when we just work, projects, goals, do this, do that, and then you don't actually realize that you don't, wait a minute. Like I had that moment. I was like, wait a minute. I wanna create something that people can just get away with their daily stress, something that they can just rest and listen to inner self a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Bolivia in Salardo, I was like, I want to have a meditation album, and I want to do it with Amado Espinosa. He's from Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I have to do this with him because I already experienced where he is from. So I felt like we have something that we can do together.
Mm.
And I talked to Amado. I was like, Amado, I had a great experience there. I stayed with Amado's sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I told him, I would love to do a meditation album with you, sound meditation album. What do you say? And we were like, he wanted to do it as well. And we thought about it. And we were like, let me know what's in your mind, what's in my mind. We kind of collaborated this idea. Do you know Amado Espinosa?
Well, I know him only through you. I didn't.
Okay, he's great. He's a great, great artist. He can play 40 different instruments, and he also makes them.
Wow.
So he is very spiritual. I always felt so grounded and in peace when I work with them. So this process actually was so beautiful. Like we decided, Amado was like, okay, we will have a whole album. We wanted to do, whole album, not like EP or a single. And he wanted to play, like 5 different instruments for each one. So then each one has different pitch, like different, scale. So then we had to prepare a drone, those sounds in the background. So Amado actually prepared them, deciding which instrument he will use for each one. And before our recording session, we meditate. We burn Palo Santos.
Yeah.
Each time, we set our intentions.
Yes.
And we start the recording session. Like we start each one like recording session like that. It was so spiritual, so beautiful. And it was the easiest recording project I have ever done. In a way, what I'm saying that because recording projects can be super stressful. You want to just like redo this thousands of times just so then you can decide which one is the best. And with Amado, everything went so smooth. Like we improvised, we meditate, set intentions, and we improvise. So you have to be very connected, in that moment. So that was beautiful. That's how we created that. And I'm so glad we did it. We just had actually sound meditation last week at the Greenwood with Amado.
Yeah. I was in New York.
Oh, really?
Event in New York.
Yeah.
I would have been there. So I missed it.
We might try to do this again before I go to Turkey for a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe end of June.
Okay. I'll try to be there. And then like some of the sounds that were nature sound, like wind and waves and different things. Yeah. Where did you draw those samples from?
It's just, I think that like Intentions and Amado like created those sounds, and they actually like from the nature.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, they are from the nature.
Yeah.
Like it's not like computer made.
Right.
It's
You
not.
actually, it sounded real. Like it didn't
Yeah,
sound,
it is real.
it didn't sound
Yeah.
created
Yeah.
electronically. So
Yeah.
curious. Yeah. Beautiful.
That's why it's like so beautiful. I mean, so it's so real. Like it's not, I don't know, it's very special.
Yeah. I had a friend who would go out and sample, like record real
Yes.
sounds in
Mhm.
nature, and then mash those together and create
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
music out of nature. I think,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
So
beautiful.
tell us about some of your projects that you're working on here in Kansas City. You've got this. You're an adjunct professor at a couple of universities, or
I was, yeah.
And
So I
yeah.
did a lot of, teaching back in time at colleges.
Mhm.
Now I actually only have a private studio.
Okay.
I teach cello, I have private students. I am part of KC Cello Society. We are actually starting our summer camp this week. Actually, tonight is our first, first session. We do some events, every year, maybe like 2 or 3 times. We definitely have Christmas events always. All the cellos sign up, and we have a cello orchestra. It's very beautiful. I am part of an ensemble Iberica. You're probably familiar. We have been doing a lot of amazing things together, and we have a trip to Turkey. We are organizing. This is gonna be the second year doing that. It's sold out. I'm so happy about it, and I'm so excited for that project. I started writing a lot this year. I had finally time to do, focus on my thing a little bit, and it's been a great journey, I think, for me to just, make those ideas come to life. So that's going to be kind of my other future project.
Mhm.
I also have a new group based in New York. It's called Paleofuturists. That we are 5 musicians, 3 of them based in New York. We had concerts in New York last month. It's beautiful. I think that's
Where
going
did
to
you
be.
play in New York?
We played in Rockwood.
Okay.
We played in Sounds of the City, New York City, and we played in Colombian Embassy. So our guitarist is from Colombia, and it was beautiful experience. I hope we will do this again soon. Yeah. So I have been also, I play. I love being a part of Ensemble Iberica, and we always perform. We perform a lot. Sometimes me and Bo, we do a duo concerts too, besides the big, like season concerts. This week, actually, we are performing me, Amado, and Bo. Amado is joining Ensemble Iberica this week at Inglewood Arts.
Okay. What day?
It's going to be June 22nd, Saturday.
Okay. All right.
At 7 p.m. It's going to be beautiful. I'm so excited. I think we will be playing also my original tunes as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm very excited about it. And then Sunday, we are playing at KC Museum, Kansas City Museum, on Sunday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what about Harmony Project KC? Or is that still something going on?
No, I worked there though for 8 years.
Okay.
I was a teacher. I was a cello teacher there. I had a great time. I miss my students sometimes.
Okay.
Now they are all going to colleges, and their last year at Harmony Project. So it was a great experience to work in such a great organization.
And what about You say you have a private studio, so you still have students that work.
Yes.
With you. What are the ages? How young do you start?
Actually, all ages. I have students from 10 years old till 45. Or
Okay.
like, I teach all levels.
Okay.
Like middle school, high school. Yeah, I have mixed of students, not just one, like I have mixed of students.
All right.
Which
There
makes it more fun.
might be some parents out there that want their kids to start learning cello. So, well, so how do people find you? Give us your website and, just the best way to connect with you.
Yeah, so my website is my full name, ezgikarakus.com. But also, Instagram, I post a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram. It's all my name, Ezgi Karakus. They can also find my Instagram account as cellist_ZG. I can also write these for you. And on Facebook is my full name, Ezgi Karakus. They can also find me there. I mostly try to, post everything that I do on social media because I feel like it's easy way to reach out to people. I, post lots of videos too, music videos. That's the great way. My email, they can reach out to me through my email, ezgicello@gmail.com.
All right. So it's Ezgi Karakus.
ZGI.
Karakus. Did I say it? Did I do okay?
Yeah.
Karakus. It's Karakus.
Yes.
Ezgi, EZGI, and then Karakus. Karakus.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. We're gonna have one of your musical pieces that we're gonna put in here at the end of the interview so that people can hear some of your music if this is their first exposure to you. And you can go to Apple, Spotify, and check out that album that we talked about, The Warmest Wave.
Warmest Wave.
Great album for contemplative and meditative types of either groups or by yourself. Very, very beautiful. So yes. Well, thanks so much for joining us on Spirituality.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm so grateful that you're in Kansas City. So
thank you.
I will be seeing more of you. And thanks everybody for tuning in to Spirituality Adventures. And we'll see you next time.
Aşk bu değil, yapma güzel. Aşk bu değil, yapma güzel. Sen insanı öldürürsün, sen insanı güldürürsün. yapma güzel. Aşk bu değil, yapma güzel. Sen insanı öldürürsün, sen insanı Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, you made it to the end. Thanks for listening all the way through on this episode. By the way, if you're not already a supporter, go to spiritualityadventures.com, sign up for one of our monthly supports, and you will receive our bonus content. You'll receive lots of interesting information about our guests. Many of our musicians will do special bonus songs and record a song. So I want to encourage you to do that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe. Be sure and share any of the episodes that you like. And be sure and make comments if you like them as well. This helps us get Spirituality Adventures out there to more listeners, more watchers. So whatever platform you're using, subscribe, like, share, make comments, and go to our website, sign up for our team, and be a part of the team support. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.